Hello everyone, my name is Haley Fowler and this is my video summary for English 469 or Second Language Acquisition Theory. So throughout this video, I'll just be talking about some new perspectives and theories that I got to learn about, some of the different activities and lessons I got to create, a little bit about the research that we got to do during this class, and overall how it's going to impact me as a teacher in the future. So first is I'll get into theory and perspective. So I got to learn about Vygotsky, and I had previously learned about Vygotsky through my educational behavior class, or as an elementary education major, and I love Vygotsky and all that he has to say. So he had the he said that cognitive development is a result of human interactions. So the more that we interact with other humans, the more that we're going to develop cognitively. So everyone has a zone of proximal development, which is like a little box of our learning. And whenever we're supported to learn or perform at a higher level just above, just out of our zone of proximal development, we'll learn more, and this will challenge our thinking because we'll be thinking more critically. With support and scaffolding from someone like a teacher, students are able to achieve more and develop further as their thinking is being challenged. So I really loved all that I got to learn about him even further and how his theory applies to second language acquisition. So next I'll talk about Chomsky and his innatist perspective. So with this, he said that all children acquire the language of their environment during a critical period of their development. So humans are born with an almost innate ability to learn language, and then these skills can strengthen naturally as humans grow and develop. So basically, it's in our genes to learn a language, and from the time we're born, we hear this language and interact with others, which kind of connects to Vygotsky's sociocultural theory. So as we interact, we gain more knowledge and we gain more experience, and we all around become a little bit better at the language step by step, at learning language step by step. So if a child is born into a predominantly Spanish-speaking household, they're going to grow up and innately learn. They have the ability to learn that language. They have the ability to learn Spanish just by hearing it and interacting with their family and those who are speaking Spanish around them. So with these two theories, I kind of combined my own, and I just really liked the interaction part of both of these theorists and what they had to say about human interaction with each other and how that goes into play with learning language. So next we'll talk about some of the research that we got to do. So I won't go into all the research that I did because we did a whole lot for this class. And as someone who's not the biggest fan of research, I actually really enjoyed some of the stuff that I got to learn about and look at through this class. So I just got really comfortable finding and analyzing resources. I got comfortable learning about learning through peer-reviewed articles and journals and things like that. And then this is just going to benefit me in the future as I've learned about different practices and strategies that I'll be able to implement into my classroom in the future. And this has really encouraged me to continue to do research and find the best practices and strategies so that I'll have those in my tool belt as a teacher to use on students as they're diverse and different and have different needs. So I'm really thankful that I got to practice my research skills, and find good sources and strong things to support my theories and all the strategies that I would like to implement. And then I'm also just really thankful for the opportunity to add more strategies and practices to my tool belt. So next we'll talk about some of the lessons and activities that we got to do. So I think this first one was for project 2, but I created a lesson about comparative and superlative adjectives. And although what I'm going to say is not fully based on comparative and superlative adjectives, it's more about the practices that I got to work in and the support that I got to work in through through this lesson. So I really focused in on highlighting exceptions for comparative and superlative adjectives, or little outliers, rule outliers that don't always follow the rules. And with this will just help students know, like, sometimes not all words in the English language follow the specific rule that they're being taught. So learning those outliers and how to work around those, I think, will also be beneficial for students as they're learning language, just so that they know, like, sometimes the rules don't always apply to all words. I got to use an audiolingual method through this, as well as other methods. I got to learn about other methods to teach and incorporate into lessons that helps students get to conversate with each other and have almost like more natural conversations as they're doing these activities, so that they can practice interacting with one another and grow their cognitive development. And so one of the other strategies that was in the Lightbone and Spada book was the get it right from the beginning. And this method, one of the strategies in this method was, like I mentioned earlier, the audiolingual pattern drill. And with this, I created a dialogue for students to read off, kind of like a script, but this way they're getting to read off paper and like read English, but then they're also getting to practice to speak it to a peer. And so then they get to conversate with each other through the dialogue and get to hear each other speak. And this also really helps, like, getting to speak to others, because then they can correct each other as they go along. So, like, if a student didn't say a word right or didn't use the right expression as they're speaking, their peer or the teacher, whoever they're conversating with through the dialogue, can quickly correct them, have them redo it, and so then that way they're, like, automatically reinforcing as they're speaking. Next, I'll talk about some of the connections to the real world. So, as I've mentioned before, I'm an elementary education major, and although I don't plan on teaching solely ESL, I know that there are a lot of English language learning students in Warren County where I plan to stay and teach. So all of this information that I got to learn in English 469 is going to be super beneficial and super applicable to that. So first, about my personal language learning, I've only learned Spanish, and that was just from those required classes in high school. And although I can't remember a lot of it because I'm out of practice, I do remember my Spanish teacher building upon what I knew as an English speaker to work in the new Spanish rules and to learn Spanish. So we got to see a little bit of how that works through the contrastive analysis, which I really enjoyed getting to do. This really just broke down, the contrastive analysis really broke down the similarities and the differences between languages and how they compare and contrast to English. So I really liked getting to see exactly like what might be easier or what might be harder for students as they are learning English, and how like teachers can use those similarities or those differences to build upon the strengths or weaknesses as they transfer and learn from their language to another. Next, I'll talk about classroom observations. So I did 77 hours of observation at Rich Pond Elementary School through Clinical 2 this semester. And obviously they were ESL students at Rich Pond Elementary. And so I really got to pay attention and just see how some of the ESL teachers gave support to those English language learning students. So it was really cool to see in person and in real life how some of the strategies and methods and theories and everything that we've been learning in this class are applied in the real world and are applied to a student in a real life classroom right there in front of me. Last, I'll talk about future application. So in my classroom, like I said, I'm definitely going to have some English language learning students. And with that being said, I'll get to apply the strategies and the methods that we learned in this class to support them. Ultimately, I want all my students to feel comfortable in my class and feel like this is a place where they belong. And so giving them the support that they need to learn English and to interact in the classroom and feel confident and comfortable to speak English in the classroom and still participate and not just fly right under the radar I'll get to use all these strategies and apply that to those students. So I think that will be super beneficial for them as they get to be in my class and get to just be supported by everything that I've learned in this class. So I'll finish up my references. These, I won't go into these, but these are just my references that I used throughout this presentation, although we had several more throughout the semester. But yeah, that's all. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this was beneficial to learn about what I learned about this semester. Bye!